Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into some Morgan Wallen news today, right?
Oh, yeah, he's been making headlines.
You sent over a few different articles, which is awesome. It's always great to get that well-rounded view, so buckle up.
Oh my God.
Because Wallen's launching a massive stadium tour in 2025. It's called I'm the Problem. And guess what?
What?
That's also the name of his upcoming fourth studio album.
Wow. That's
Like,
that's interesting.
right.
Yeah, this isn't just any tour. It's shaping up to be a defining moment, I think, in Wallen's career, especially considering all the ups and downs he's faced in recent years.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so first things first, let's break down this I'm the Problem tour.
Uh-huh.
19 stadium shows across 10 North American cities.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is. To put that into perspective, his recent One Night at a Time tour, which just wrapped up not too long ago, was the highest-selling country music tour in history.
Oh,
Over 3 million fans attended 87 shows in 10 countries. So
clearly.
there's a massive appetite to see him live.
Yeah, those are some serious numbers. And he's bringing along some major names for this stadium tour, too. Brooks and Dunn, Miranda Lambert, Thomas Rhett, Co Wetzel.
It's pretty diverse lineup.
That's what's so fascinating about it. You've got country legends like Brooks and Dunn, powerhouse female artists like Miranda Lambert, more pop-leaning country stars like Thomas Rhett, and then someone like Co Wetzel, who brings a bit of a Texas outlaw vibe. It makes you wonder if Wallen is intentionally trying to bridge different subgenres within country music.
Yeah.
Or appeal to a broader fan base.
That's a really interesting point. I mean, it's not your typical cookie-cutter lineup. He's definitely mixing things up. And speaking of mixing things up, you know those Cleveland dates are going to be wild.
Oh, yeah.
2 back-to-back shows at Huntington Bank Field on August 15th and 16th. Plus, Miranda Lambert's opening on Friday and Thomas Rhett's on Saturday. Smart move. He's essentially offering 2 different flavors of a Morgan Wallen concert, catering to slightly different segments of his fan base on each night. It's a good way to maximize ticket sales and create a unique experience for fans.
Exactly. And for those of you listening who are already thinking about snagging tickets, pre-sale registration is open on Wallen's website, and general sales start January 31st at 10 a.m.
Don't miss out now. Amidst all this tour excitement, there's one date that stands out as particularly significant. June 28th at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin.
Right. This is more than just a tour stop. This is a piece of music history in the making. Camp Randall hasn't hosted a major concert in almost 30 years. The last one was back in 1997.
Think about it. Some of the biggest names in music history have played there. The Rolling Stones, U2, Pink Floyd, Genesis. But for nearly 3 decades, it's been radio silence on the concert front. This show marks a major shift for Camp Randall and potentially for Madison's cultural scene as a whole.
It's a comeback story, not just for Camp Randall, but in a way, for Wallen himself. What'd you say?
Absolutely. Wallen's career has been quite the roller coaster. He's experienced record-breaking success, but also faced significant controversy, particularly after the incident in 2021, where he was recorded using a racial slur.
Yeah. It was a challenging time for him and for country music as a whole. There were calls for boycotts. He was dropped from radio stations and streaming playlists, and the incident sparked a wider conversation about race and accountability in the industry.
And yet, despite the backlash, his popularity remains strong. His album Dangerous, the double album, topped the charts for weeks, even breaking streaming records. He even won the Country Music Association Award for Entertainer of the Year in 2024.
It's a complex situation, for sure. There's no denying his talent or his connection with fans, but there's also the weight of his past actions. And that brings us to this new album and tour, titled I'm the Problem, it almost feels like. He's directly addressing those past mistakes head on.
It's definitely a bold choice for a title. It makes you wonder if he's aiming for a sense of accountability, or perhaps even using it as a form of self-deprecation. Of course, there's always the chance it's a calculated marketing move to generate buzz.
You've got to admit, it's definitely gotten people talking.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep into analyzing the album title, let's go back to Camp Randall for a moment. Why is this legendary venue suddenly back in the concert game after such a long hiatus?
Well, one key factor seems to be the recent approval of alcohol sales. In the stadium's general seating areas, in the past, alcohol sales were prohibited at those earlier Camp Randall concerts, which may have been a deal breaker for some artists and promoters.
That makes sense. Alcohol sales are a big revenue generator for concerts, and let's be real. For a lot of fans,
Yeah.
It's part of the experience.
Exactly. By allowing alcohol sales, Camp Randall has become a much more attractive venue for major concert tours. It seems like a strategic decision by the university to boost revenue and enhance the fan experience, and it's already paying off with both Wallen and Coldplay choosing to play there this year.
Speaking of Coldplay, they're also making history. With their Camp Randall show, on July 19th, it'll be their first ever performance in Madison. And just like Wallen's show, it sold out incredibly fast. It seems like there's a real hunger for live music in Madison right now.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder if this is part of a larger trend. We've seen a resurgence of stadium concerts in recent years, perhaps fueled by pent-up demand after the pandemic and the desire for larger-than-life experience.
Yeah, it's like people are craving that collective energy, that feeling of being part of something bigger than themselves. And what better place to experience that than a massive stadium concert?
Now, getting back to Wallen and this I'm the Problem era, I'm curious about how he's approaching the music itself. Do you think we'll hear a shift in tone or style, given everything that's happened?
That's the big question, isn't it? Will this album be introspective and vulnerable, maybe even apologetic, or will it double down on the rebellious outlaw image that's become part of his brand?
Remember, Wallen pleaded guilty to reckless endangerment charges in December 2024. After a chair-throwing incident in Nashville, he was sentenced to time at a DUI education center and probation. So, he's definitely had some serious legal troubles to contend with.
Right. That incident added another layer of controversy to his already complicated public image. It'll be interesting to see if and how he addresses that in his music.
We do know that the title track, I'm the Problem, drops on January 31st, the same day, as the general ticket sales for the tour begin. That's either a brilliant marketing strategy or a very deliberate attempt to get people thinking about the meaning behind the title.
It's definitely got me intrigued. I'm eager to hear how the song tackles these themes of personal responsibility and accountability, especially given his past actions.
And don't forget, Wallen is known for his deeply personal songwriting. His music often explores themes of heartbreak, regret, and redemption, connecting with fans. On an emotional level, this new album could be his most personal and revealing yet.
I'm also curious about how this tour will be received by fans and critics alike. Will there be protests or boycotts? Or will people be willing to separate the art from the artist?
That's the big unknown. Wallen has a devoted fan base who have stuck by him through thick and thin. But he's also alienated some people who feel he hasn't done enough to address his past behavior. This tour could be a test of how far his fans are willing to go in their support.
It's definitely a complex situation.
Yeah.
And it raises bigger questions about accountability and forgiveness in the music industry. Can an artist redeem themselves in the eyes of the public after making serious mistakes? And if so, what does that path to redemption look like?
It's a conversation we're seeing play out more and more these days as fans grapple with the actions of their favorite artists, and the answer isn't always easy or clear-cut.
Speaking of grappling with complex issues, one thing that struck me while looking at this tour lineup is the diverse mix of guest artists. What do you make of Wallen choosing to share the stage with such a wide range of performers?
It's a fascinating choice. It could be a sign that he's intentionally trying to broaden his musical horizons, showcasing different facets of country music. Maybe he's looking to challenge perceptions and appeal to a wider audience, or perhaps it's simply a reflection of his own eclectic musical taste.
Yeah. It's like he's curating a mini country music festival every night, offering something for everyone. And might be a way to create a more inclusive atmosphere, bringing together fans from different backgrounds and musical preferences.
And let's not forget the sheer entertainment value of such a diverse lineup. With each night featuring a different opening act, it keeps things fresh and exciting for fans. It's almost like he's creating a unique experience for each city on the tour.
Absolutely. It's definitely a bold move. And it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. It feels like he's entering a new phase of his career, one where he's both acknowledging his past mistakes and pushing forward with a more expansive vision.
This tour could be a turning point for him, both musically and personally. The title, I'm the Problem, suggests a willingness to confront his flaws and potentially even use his platform to address those issues head on.
It's a lot to unpack, and we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. But one thing's for sure, Morgan Wallen's I'm the Problem tour will be one of the most talked about events of 2025.
There's no doubt about it. He's a polarizing figure, but he's also undeniably talented and has a huge impact on the country music landscape. This tour will be a major moment in his career, and it'll be fascinating to see how he navigates the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
Before we wrap up our deep dives into all this Morgan Wallen news,
Yeah.
I wanted to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the Morgan Wallen Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's important to acknowledge the work he's doing through that organization.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the controversies and the headlines,
Yep.
but it's also important to remember that Wallen is using his platform to give back to the community.
Exactly. And it's not just some small gesture either. A portion of every single ticket sold for the I'm the Problem tour will be donated to the Morgan Wallen Foundation, which focuses on supporting youth programs in music and sports.
That's a significant commitment, and it could potentially make a real difference in the lives of young people. It shows a different side of Wallen, one that's focused on making a positive impact beyond his music.
It also adds another layer of complexity to his story, right? He's clearly made some mistakes and faced serious consequences, but he's also actively trying to use his success for good. It's a reminder that people are multifaceted, and we shouldn't define them solely by their missteps.
It's a nuanced situation for sure, and
Yeah.
it prompts us to consider the role of redemption and second chances. Can someone who has caused harm genuinely make amends and contribute to positive change? It's a question that extends far beyond music and touches on fundamental human values.
It's a conversation worth having. And I think Wallen's actions, both positive and negative, will continue to fuel that discussion. So, as we wrap up our deep dive, let's recap the key takeaways.
Okay.
We started by exploring the sheer scale of this I'm the Problem tour. 19 stadium shows across 10 North American cities, with a roster of guest artists, Brooks and Dunn, Miranda Lambert, Thomas Rhett, Co Wetzel. We discussed how this lineup could signal a shift in Wallen's musical direction, potentially aiming to bridge different subgenres within country music and appeal to a wider fan base.
Right.
We then delved into the historical significance of that June 28th show at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin, marking the return of major concerts to that venue after a nearly 30-year hiatus. This event not only signifies a comeback for Camp Randall, but also reflects a larger trend of stadium concerts regaining popularity in recent years.
Yeah.
And of course, we couldn't ignore the elephant in the room, Morgan Wallen's controversial past, including the 2021 incident and the more recent reckless endangerment charges. These events have undeniably shaped his public image and sparked important conversations about accountability, redemption, and the role of forgiveness in the music industry.
For sure.
All of this leads us to the upcoming album, also titled I'm the Problem, which seems to be both a reflection of Wallen's personal struggles and a calculated move to generate buzz and intrigue. The title itself raises questions about his intentions. Is it a genuine expression of remorse, a clever marketing ploy, or perhaps a bit of both? And let's not forget the Morgan Wallen Foundation, which will receive a portion of the proceeds from the tour. This philanthropic endeavor adds another dimension to Wallen's story, showcasing his desire to give back to the community and support youth programs in music and sports. So, as we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. Do you think Morgan Wallen's I'm the Problem era will ultimately be defined by his past mistakes or his efforts to move forward and make a positive impact?
That's a great question, and I think only time will answer. But one thing is certain, Morgan Wallen is a complex and compelling figure who continues to captivate audiences and spark debate. His music resonates with millions, his actions have consequences, and his journey is far from over.
Well said. We encourage you to continue exploring this topic, listen to the music, and form your own opinions. It's a conversation worth having, and we'd love to hear your thoughts, so hit us up on social media, drop us an email, or just keep those conversations going in your own circles.
Absolutely. The more we engage with these topics, the more we learn and grow together.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.